Hello Rebrand gang, welcome to episode 60 of Rebrand Everything, the weekly graphic design show where we redesign the logo of big or famous companies. In this week's episode we're going to be redesigning the Facebook logo, and thanks to Amanda and Turbo Taquito for submitting this idea over on rebrandeverything.com. Let's get into it. So pretty much all of us will already know that the Facebook logo looks like this. But it's actually a little bit of a weird one because going by their own guidelines on their own website, they shouldn't actually be using this anymore. However, as of right now, this is the logo that they're using at the top of the mobile app and also on the desktop homepage. So this word mark is always used as blue on white or white on a blue background, and there's not that much to say about it as it is just a lowercase word mark with nothing too wild about the font. The app icon looks like this, and as you can see, it's the F from the word mark put inside this blue rectangle. From the branding page on their website, it actually looks like a circle is the preferred logo, but due to the shape of how Apple show the icons, they've put it in a rectangle with the usual rounded corners. Now, as well as the social media platform itself, Facebook have another logo that was updated late in 2019, which is kind of for the company logo, and that logo looks like this, and as you can see, it's quite different, a little bit more corporate, all caps. They use this version of the logo when they're talking about Facebook as a company rather than Facebook as a social media platform. And the only places that I've actually seen it used are on the settings screen of WhatsApp and the settings screen of Instagram, as you can see here. It's always used quite small and in neutral colours just to mark their presence and ownership of their products. So anyway, the logo I'm going to be looking at today is the Facebook social media platform. So whilst there's nothing actually wrong with the Facebook logo and it is recognised all over the world, it would be kind of madness to change it, but I still think it's going to be a fun project to look at what else we could do rather than just having the F inside a shape. Oh my god, do you know what time it is? It's time to sketch out some ideas. So the ideas for this one basically came for breaking up the two words and then trying different ways of combining them. Now, logos that use faces are normally pretty difficult to create as tiny little details make a massive difference to whether the face looks kind of aesthetically pleasing or not. And obviously the other word book is a little bit simpler, so the ideas sketched out were basically book symbols from lots of different angles and thinking about how I can use maybe perspective or a book on its end or a book sideways or a book kind of isometrically positioned. And I was also looking at some other ways of sort of including the pages from a book, so maybe imagining that the pages are kind of half open. So combining the word face and the word book is a little bit weird. I was thinking about using a face silhouette on the edges of the book, like the edges of the page, but as I drew it out it was seeming less and less of a good idea as I was kind of fleshing it out on the page there. Also, at the sketching stage, I find it helps to start thinking about fonts, as sometimes when I look through fonts, I get kind of a random idea kind of form in my head based on the letter shapes that I've seen in certain fonts. So as you can see here, I've drawn quite a lot of different ideas, all focused around the same concept, but all very visually different. And once the sketching's done, it was time to take this into Illustrator and see if we can turn it into something presentable. Unfortunately, we have a problem. I cannot continue this video until you've pressed that like button. Go on. Do it. And you. Okay, thanks. Let's proceed. Oh yeah, one more thing. Follow me on TikTok at Rebrand Everything, exactly the same as my Instagram, but this is the place to go for a lot of quick design tips and stuff like that. Do it at Rebrand Everything. So for option 1, I decided to go down a route that I normally absolutely hate and always advise against. The basic concept is swapping the two O's in the word book for a book icon. Normally, I hate logos that replace letters with icons as it often makes the text too hard to read and it becomes a case of form over function. However, I thought that two O's next to each other would probably be a situation where it might work or could work, and couple this with the fact that Facebook is already super well known and it was probably worth a try. To make the book shape, it was a case of using the arch warp effect and then expanding the strokes to refine the corners of each page. I developed using a modern cool font, but later realised that it didn't really fit nicely with the actual icon. It kind of made it a little bit harder to read where there was kind of this jarring of styles. So I swapped it out for something a little bit more square and sharp. Okay, so for option 2, based on my dislike for icons replacing letters in a word mark that I just mentioned while building option 1, I decided to take the book icon idea and create a nice simple icon out of it that could live alongside a word mark instead of becoming part of it. Once expanding the strokes on the warped pages, I overlapped them, which left me with this ugly bit in the middle, but this was easy to get rid of with the Shape Builder tool. And you do that by holding Alt whilst clicking and dragging, and that removes parts, so it saves so much time when comparing to the old school way of doing this with the Pathfinder palette, because I basically used to just click every button in the Pathfinder palette, kind of guessing what each of them did. Click one, undo it, click one, undo it. I know you've probably been there as well, so if you learn that Shape Builder tool, it just saves you so much time. So font wise, I wanted to go for more modern without being too quirky and trendy, as I didn't want this to date too badly if they use this logo for say the next 5 or 10 years. I liked the font called Circular, and the bold cut seemed to sit nicely with the thickness of the book icon that I'd made.
3.
Okay, so for option 3, I wanted to combine the words face and book. I had this idea that was like a super simplified book icon, but it's as if the book is laying down and we're looking at the bottom of it, so you could see like the cover and pages inside. So once I had drawn out the book and added a few pages in, making sure to keep it as simple as possible, as if I started adding loads of pages, I was conscious that it would end up being too detailed and not very scalable. Now I wanted to try adding like a cartoon style face into these page lines. Like most things in design, it took a lot of trial and error, but I got there in the end, and this smiley face is now sitting in with the pages themselves. I also called upon an Adobe font that I noted down while sketching, which was called Quattro. And I thought, as I had created this logo that had a little bit of a fun feel to it, I needed a font that had a little bit of curves and character, and this font fitted the vibe that I was looking for.
4.
So again, following with the theme of combining both the word face and the word book, I wanted to create another concept based upon the same idea. Using Snap to Grid pretty heavily, I created a little box icon and also drew out this simple face, and then selected both the face and the box and then sheared it into place to get that nice angle. The icon looked a little bit like a cereal box at first, so I added a little curvature by using arcs to add a curved top, bottom and also a couple of bands to help make it look more like a book. I ended up using Ephra as my font for this one, as it looked clean as a whistle and didn't detract from the icon at all. This is one of them logos where I can't tell whether it's completely terrible or if it has some sort of quirky charm, so you'll have to let me know down in the comments.
5.
So after the last couple of options that seem to be following down the oversimplification of the company name route, I wanted to try to create something that was a little more subtle and cool for option 5. I wanted to go back into my favourite style of logo design, which starts with the thick raw shapes and then adding the smaller details after. I thought that making a super stylised F would be a good route, as it's kind of like what they use already but a bit more interesting and solid. As the Facebook logo is almost exclusively on paper or at least full colour print, I thought incorporating a gradient was okay to add a little bit of visual interest. Now the key thing here is that the logo doesn't rely on the gradient. It would still work without it, but in a similar way to how the Netflix logo works, the shadow just adds a little something something. Now I had the F icon that I was happy with, the biggest part of the battle was getting this icon that I'd made to sit nicely with the word mark. I tried lots of things, but in the end settled on the icon on the left at around 125% of the height of the word mark. The font for this option is called Biosans, which is an Adobe font, and I made a cold grey colour to harmonise with the icon. Okay then, so that is all 5 options, but I just wanted to let you know that I want to bring back the Redesigning subscriber logos. So send your logo files over for your chance to be featured in one of them videos. And a little hint, I'm most likely to choose your logo if you send it over as a vector already, so I don't have to redraw it. So yeah, rebrandeverything@hotmail.com, send your logos over and I might have a look at them and make a video next week. Okay then, Rebrand gang, just before I show you them final options, I want to remind you to press the little button up here and vote for your favourite option, then head straight down to the comments below and let me know why that was your favourite and what you might have done differently. Please press like on this video if you haven't liked it already, and press subscribe if you want to see videos like this every single week. If you want to submit a rebrand idea, visit rebrandeverything.com and you can fill out the form there and I'll add it to my ever-growing list of rebrands to do in the future. Okay then, Rebrand gang, let's see them final options.